Hi everyone, have you ever wondered how one small act of kindness can completely change the course of someone's life? Sometimes, the smallest gestures can create the biggest impact, even in ways we never expect. Today, I want to share the story of someone who discovered the power of kindness in a way that went beyond a simple good deed. Jordan Carter wasn't just a waiter. He became a symbol of hope and inspiration to countless others. His story is a reminder that no good deed is ever truly forgotten, and the ripple effects can reach far beyond what we can see. Stay with me until the end to discover how his simple choice to help someone set off a chain of events that changed his life and the lives of many others forever. Jordan Carter had always been a man with a purpose. At 30 years old, he had already spent nearly 4 years as a waiter at the Skyline Grill, a well-known upscale restaurant in the heart of New York City. Though he held a degree in hospitality management, the job market had proven to be tougher than anticipated. It wasn't easy breaking into the industry, especially as a young black man trying to make a name for himself in an environment dominated by privilege and connections. Still, Jordan persevered. He didn't mind waiting tables. He'd been taught that a person's worth wasn't measured by their job title, but by the effort they put into it. Growing up in Brooklyn, he had seen his parents work tirelessly to provide for him and his 2 siblings. His father, a truck driver, worked long hours and often came home late, but he never complained. His mother, a high school teacher, had always been a beacon of support and wisdom. They were a team, and their work ethic shaped Jordan's sense of responsibility. Despite the struggles, Jordan had always been an optimist. The people he met in his line of work, regulars, tourists, rich businessmen, and everyday New Yorkers, brought unique stories to his life. He believed that everyone had something to teach him, and every experience, no matter how small, was an opportunity for growth. One Thursday evening, the restaurant was particularly busy. As Jordan weaved through the crowded dining room, balancing plates and glasses, he couldn't help but notice a woman sitting at one of the tables by the window. She was in her early 60s, with silver gray hair pulled back in a neat bun. Her features were kind but weathered, with a slight crease across her forehead that spoke of years of both joy and sorrow. There was something about her calm presence that stood in contrast to the usual rush of the restaurant. The hum of voices, clinking silverware, and the sizzling sounds from the kitchen didn't seem to disturb her. She sat quietly, gazing out at the New York skyline, her eyes focused but distant, as if she was lost in thought. Jordan took a deep breath and approached her table. "Good evening, ma'am," he said warmly. "My name is Jordan, and I'll be taking care of you tonight. Can I start you off with something to drink?" The woman turned to him, her soft eyes meeting his. There was a fleeting look of recognition in her expression, but it quickly disappeared as she smiled up at him. "A glass of red wine, please, Jordan. I trust your recommendation," she replied in a voice that was gentle yet confident. Jordan nodded and turned to walk away. However, something about her felt strangely familiar. As he made his way back to the bar to grab the wine, he couldn't shake the feeling that he had met her before. But where? Returning to her table with the wine, Jordan couldn't help but ask, "Have you decided on your meal, or would you like a few more minutes?" The woman's smile grew wider, and she seemed to study him for a moment before replying, "I'll have the seared salmon, please. And Jordan, I have something I'd like to share with you when you have a moment." A mix of curiosity and intrigue bubbled up inside Jordan. He agreed to return after taking her order, but he was eager to understand what she meant. As he placed her salmon order in the kitchen, Jordan's thoughts lingered on her words. He had never been a particularly curious person. He was content living his own life. But something about this woman felt like she was about to tell him something important. When he returned to her table with her meal, he sat down for a moment. "You said you wanted to share something with me?" he asked gently. The woman's expression shifted. Her eyes darkened slightly as she reached into her purse, pulling out a small newspaper clipping. The headline read, "Local Hero Rescues Woman from Fiery Crash." Jordan's heart skipped a beat as he stared at the photo of a younger version of himself. There, in the photo, was his face covered in soot, pulling a woman from a burning car. It was a moment Jordan had tried to forget, But the image of the woman in the car and the explosion that followed had haunted him for years. "That's me," he said, his voice hoarse as memories flooded back. "But how do you know about that?" The woman's voice softened. "Because the woman you saved that night was my sister." Jordan's mind raced. He had never known what happened to the woman he rescued. After helping her out of the car, he had been ushered away by paramedics, giving his statement to the police, and then he had simply continued his life. He hadn't thought about it again, not until now. "Her name was Claire," the woman continued, her eyes welling up. "She was in a coma for 3 weeks after the crash. When she woke up, the doctors didn't know if she would ever walk again. The accident left her with severe burns and injuries, but your quick thinking saved her life." Jordan's stomach twisted with guilt and relief. He had never known how much his actions had affected the woman or her family. "I didn't know," he whispered. "I never knew what happened after that night." "She's alive, Jordan," the woman said. "It wasn't easy for her. She spent years undergoing surgeries, therapy, and mental health counseling. But she's here, and she's strong. She's been an inspiration to so many." Jordan sat back in his chair, overwhelmed. The guilt that had haunted him for so long suddenly mixed with a profound sense of gratitude. "I can't believe it. I never imagined—" Grace, this woman who had just become a beacon of connection, reached across the table, placing her hand on his. "You gave my sister a second chance at life, and that's something we'll never forget." Jordan didn't know what to say. He had always believed that the small actions in life didn't matter much. He had never realized that something as simple as pulling someone from a burning car could have such a lasting impact. "You should meet Claire," Grace said softly, her voice trembling slightly. "She's giving a speech next month at a community event. I think you should come." "Wait." Jordan agreed, his heart now full of both excitement and nervousness. He had never thought of himself as a hero. To him, it was just another night, another act of kindness. But hearing Grace's words made him realize the true weight of his actions. When the day of Claire's speech arrived, Jordan found himself sitting in the audience, his heart pounding as he listened to Claire share her story. She spoke of pain, resilience, and the long road to recovery. She spoke of the nights she cried, feeling hopeless and broken, but also the moments when she found strength in her family and her faith, and in the memory of the man who had saved her. After the speech, Claire made her way down to the audience, and when she saw Jordan, tears welled up in her eyes. She walked over to him and embraced him tightly. "You saved my life," she whispered through her sobs. Jordan held her, not knowing what to say, but knowing deep in his heart that he had just witnessed something remarkable. This wasn't just about saving a life. It was about creating a ripple effect that reached far beyond the incident. Inspired by Claire's story, Jordan decided to make a change in his own life. He enrolled in an emergency medical technician (EMT) program. Eager to help others in the same way he had helped Claire, his life no longer felt the same. He began volunteering at local shelters and community organizations, helping wherever he could. Months passed, and Jordan found his passion growing. He started mentoring young adults at the youth center where he volunteered, teaching them the importance of compassion and community. He felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment that he had never experienced before. One day, as he was leaving the youth center, a young boy named Kevin approached him. "Mr. Carter," Kevin said nervously, "do you think I could ever be a paramedic like you?" Jordan smiled, kneeling at Kevin's level. "Of course, Kevin," he replied. "You can be anything you want to be if you work hard for it. Just like I did, the most important thing is to never give up." Jordan's influence began to grow as he became a mentor to a new generation of hopefuls. His story of kindness, unexpected heroism, and selflessness resonated deeply with young individuals who sought guidance and inspiration. They admired his journey from an everyday waiter to a person who made a difference in the world. For Jordan, the realization that his simple act had sparked a ripple effect of change across the lives of others filled him with an unanticipated sense of purpose. He saw now that it wasn't just the work he did that mattered, but the way he carried himself and impacted the lives around him. Through this newfound role, Jordan came to understand the true power of his influence. As he guided others, He learned that his legacy would not just be shaped by his actions in the moment, but by the lessons he imparted along the way. Every conversation, every gesture of support, and every shared moment of wisdom began to contribute to a larger story, a story where kindness, no matter how small, became a seed for future hope. He started to see his own life as a living testament to the idea that good deeds had the power to transcend their initial impact. Jordan's journey showed him that his identity was no longer confined to the role of a waiter. He had evolved into a symbol of resilience, hope, and compassion. His transformation from a person who simply served others to one who inspired and mentored them became a testament to the ripple effect of positive actions. As he continued his work, Jordan became more than just a figure in his community. He became a beacon of hope, showing that the smallest acts of kindness could create lasting change, often in ways one could never fully comprehend.